All right, so are you ready for this? We got this incredible video. It's Alex Hormozi, and he's like this total street-talking entrepreneur, and he is just laying down 13 years of business wisdom, rapid-fire style.
Yep.
And this isn't just some theory. This guy, he like built and sold 9 companies.
Wow.
The last one for like $46 million.
Yeah.
And his portfolio is now making millions monthly.
Wow.
So we're diving deep into all of his advice today.
Right.
What works, what maybe doesn't work, and how you can use it.
I love it. I think what's so fascinating about Hormozi is he doesn't sugarcoat anything, right? He's like so blunt.
Yeah.
You go straight for the jugular. He's challenging, like all these assumptions that most entrepreneurs like hold so dear. And I think that's what makes his advice so powerful.
Yeah.
So get ready for some serious aha moments.
I am so ready. Let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
His first point is all about like who you're selling to.
Okay.
And Hormozi says, sell to rich people first.
Interesting.
Now, at first glance, that might sound a little exclusive, right?
Sure, it can seem that way, but there's actually a much deeper strategy at play here.
Okay.
So think about it this way. When you actually cater to a wealthy niche, you can command these like premium prices.
Right.
Right. And that actually allows you to then deliver like an exceptional level of service without like spreading yourself too thin. Right. There's no more racing to the bottom, competing on price and all of that.
Right. So instead of being everything to everyone, you become the go-to expert for a select group who truly value what you offer.
Precisely. And this ties into, I think, a really crucial point he makes about like this idea of relative value.
Okay.
Right. So imagine like offering a service for $100 to someone with like $11,000. That's a significant chunk of their like resources. Right. But to someone with like $100 million, it's practically nothing, like a rounding error almost. And so their perception of value is completely different.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So like their needs are different.
Of course.
Their expectations are different, and their willingness to pay is different.
100%.
But how do we as entrepreneurs even begin to like tack into
that's the question.
That premium market? Like, I mean, it's easy to say sell to rich people.
Yeah.
But like actually reaching them, convincing them, that feels like a whole other challenge.
So Hormozi actually has a few, I think, practical tips for this.
Okay.
He suggests looking at like who's already succeeding in that space, you know, like what are they doing well? And then figure out how to do it better and faster, which like justifies your higher price tag.
Okay.
Remember, like for more affluent clients, time is the ultimate luxury.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, so it's about positioning yourself as like the efficient, high-value solution, like no fluff, just results.
Exactly.
But you can't just like say you're the best, right?
Absolutely not. This is where I think your reputation really comes into play.
Okay.
Building a strong reputation, I think, really helps reduce the perceived risk for potential clients, right? It signals that you're reliable, that you deliver on your promises.
Yeah.
So think of it as like building trust before you even enter the room.
I like that.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like a pre-built trust.
So we got our target audience in mind. We're focusing on efficiency, building a stellar reputation.
Yep.
What's next on Hormozi's list?
So a second truth, I think, this one hits home for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Okay.
He says, you lack priorities, not information. And I think, especially in this age of information overload.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's so easy to get caught up, like, consuming endless data.
Yes.
Going to every webinar.
Yes.
Reading every article.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right.
It's like you feel so busy, you feel productive.
Right. You're like, I'm doing the thing.
But are you actually moving the needle?
That's the question.
And that's, I think, what Hormozi is getting at.
Yeah.
You know, he's arguing that we often get so bogged down in like just gathering information that we lose sight of the core problem we actually need to solve.
Right.
Like he tells this great story about this entrepreneur with, get this, 56 companies who is struggling to scale.
Oh my God.
56 companies.
It's like a lot.
It's a perfect example of how like scattered focus can actually hinder your progress.
It's like trying to juggle too many balls.
Yes.
Eventually you're going to drop them all.
You can't hold on to all of them.
Yeah.
So.
How do we break free from that cycle?
Yeah.
Like the information overload and get back to what truly matters.
Yeah. He suggests a really, I think, simple but powerful question.
Okay.
And he says, what's the one problem that, if solved, would make everything else easier?
Oh, okay. I love that. It forces you to prioritize, to cut through all the clutter.
Identify that core, bottleneck.
Exactly. And, let's be honest. I think sometimes we get stuck solving problems that we, enjoy solving or that we're good at.
Oh, totally.
Even if they're not the most impactful,
right?
For our businesses.
Yes, exactly.
And so he uses this this example, I think, of this media company that was so obsessed with optimizing their content, writing blog posts and making videos and all this stuff. But they didn't even have a product to sell yet.
Oh.
They were solving the wrong problem entirely.
Yeah, that's a painful realization.
It is.
And it highlights the need to understand your business as a whole, as a system.
As a system, as a whole.
Not just focus on your individual strengths.
Absolutely.
Or what you find interesting.
I love that you said that because it's so true.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about just what's fun for you.
Right.
It's about what actually moves the business forward.
Yeah.
And so speaking of systems, he compares a business to a bodybuilder.
Okay.
Who's striving for this really balanced physique. Right? So you might be amazing at bicep curls, but if your legs are weak, you're not going to perform at your best.
Right.
And in a business, each function, has its own role to play. But it all needs to work together.
Yeah.
To achieve that peak performance.
Which brings us to his third truth.
Okay.
And this one is a little bit of a reality check.
Okay, let's hear it.
He says, things are hard because your team isn't as good as you think they are, and that's because your standards are too low.
Whoa, straight to the point.
Right.
I love it.
He's not pulling any punches, is he?
No, he's not.
But it's a message we need to hear, right?
It is. It is.
Because the quality of your team directly impacts your ability to execute your vision,
totally.
To overcome the challenges, to achieve your goals.
100%.
He even says we haven't hired our best talent yet.
I love that, yeah.
Because they're out there in the future.
They're out there, right.
Okay, so we need to raise our standards, but how do we even begin to identify that?
That's the
that A-plus talent.
Yeah.
Especially if we haven't had the experience of working with truly exceptional people before.
I think Hormozi suggests almost reframing the interview process.
Okay.
As an educational experience.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So talk to as many people as possible. Don't just settle for the first seemingly qualified candidate. Look for people who can really articulate, I think, their role and their impact.
Okay.
With a focus on metrics and quantifiable results.
Yeah, so it's not enough to just say, I'm a great salesperson.
Exactly.
They need to show you how they're a great salesperson.
Yes.
What numbers back that up.
Yeah.
And how their work directly impacts the bottom line.
Exactly. Ask them.
Yeah.
How would you actually influence revenue? Not just I'm going to increase sales.
Right.
But can you really connect the dots between your actions and the company's financial success?
It's a reminder that every function in a business, from marketing to customer service and product development, should ultimately contribute to
making money.
Making money.
Right.
If a candidate can't articulate how their work does that, it might be a red flag.
Yeah, potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and that leads us to another gem from Hormozi.
Okay.
Lots of rules means you have dumb people.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Now, that might sound harsh, but
it's definitely attention grabbing, right?
It is.
But I'm curious to hear where he's going with this.
I am too.
I think what he's getting at is, if you have to, spell out every single detail, every expectation, every rule, it suggests that you haven't hired people who can, think for themselves.
Right.
Right. It indicates a lack of common sense and initiative.
Yeah.
Within the team.
Yeah.
And, he's not just preaching from some ivory tower. He admits that he's implemented some pretty ridiculous rules in his own businesses.
Like what?
He was laughing about this rule that he had. Don't watch Netflix during customer service calls.
Oh my gosh.
It's funny now, but it just highlights the point that, like,
Yeah.
even seasoned entrepreneurs, like, we make these mistakes.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
We all have to learn and adapt.
So if we find ourselves creating, like, this mountain of rules,
Yeah, that's a sign,
it
right?
might be a sign to step back and reevaluate
Absolutely.
the hiring process, right?
100%.
Are we attracting the right people?
Mm-hmm.
Are we setting clear expectations from the outset?
Exactly.
And it's about fostering, like, this culture of common sense, initiative, and trust.
Yeah.
Not, like, micromanaging every detail.
Exactly.
And that starts with hiring people who are smarter than you.
Yes.
And giving them the freedom to excel
Love it.
in their areas of expertise.
Absolutely. And, you know, that can be like a tough pill to swallow.
Totally.
For some entrepreneurs who are used to being...
The smartest person in the room.
Yes, the smartest person in the room. Exactly.
It can be a challenge to, like, let go of that control.
It can.
But it's essential for growth.
It is.
You can't scale a business if you're trying to do everything yourself.
Totally agree.
And sometimes building a high-performing team means having some, like, difficult conversations, addressing performance issues that might be lingering.
Right.
And Hormozi doesn't shy away from that either.
Yeah, he really emphasizes this idea of, like, not letting things fester.
Yeah.
Because of a fear of, like, hurting someone's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And he reframes those conversations as investments in the employee's growth.
Right.
You know, maybe they're not thriving in their current role.
Yeah.
But could they excel in a different department?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they need, like, additional training or mentorship. It's really about, like, finding ways to help them reach their full potential.
Right.
Even if it means making, like, some tough decisions along the way.
He even talks about, like, his own experiences with promoting people too quickly, something called, like, the Peter principle, where people, like, rise to their level of incompetence.
It's so true.
It highlights the importance of, like, careful talent management.
Yeah.
Making the right decisions for the long-term health of the business.
Yes.
Not just the, like, short-term comfort of avoiding tough conversations.
Totally.
Before we move on, I have to ask, like, what's resonating with you the most so far?
You know, I think what really stands out to me is his, like, candidness about talent, right? He doesn't shy away from the fact that building a high-performing team requires investment. Like, he shared some, like, eye-opening figures, like his own salary figures for key hires.
Wow.
But the point he makes is, like, really clear. The right people, even if they cost more up front, can generate massive returns for your business.
Yeah, it's not just about throwing money at the problem, like he talks about.
Finding the right people.
Yeah, and, like, needing a compelling mission, something that, like, attracts those A players who are driven by more than just a paycheck.
Absolutely. People want to be part of, like, something bigger than themselves, something that, like, aligns with their values.
Right.
Gives them a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And so it's about creating, like, that company culture.
Yeah.
That mission that's, like, truly magnetic to top talent.
Okay, this is fascinating stuff.
It is. It is.
We've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah, we have.
But we're just getting started.
We're just getting warmed up.
Let's take a pause here.
Okay.
Come back in the next part.
Sounds good.
To dive into Hormozi's insights on growth, protecting your focus, and building a brand.
Ooh, I love it.
That stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. You ready for some more of Alex Hormozi's no-nonsense approach to business?
You bet. Last we left off, we were talking about the importance of, you know, building a high-performing team and fostering a culture of initiative.
Yeah.
So what's next on the agenda?
So his fifth truth, I think this is especially relevant for, like, entrepreneurs who are eager to scale.
Okay.
He says, if you want to get bigger, get better. Better leads to growth. Bigger leads to bloat.
Okay, that's an interesting distinction, like better versus bigger.
It is.
It's tempting to chase, like, rapid expansion, but what's the danger there?
So he uses this really fascinating comparison between two fast food chains, Chick-fil-A and Boston Market.
Okay.
Remember Boston Market?
Vaguely, they were all about, like, home-style meals.
Right. Exactly. And they expanded so rapidly. You know, like, they were just focused on becoming as big as possible, as quickly as possible. Chick-fil-A, on the other hand, they really prioritized, like, quality and customer experience above all else.
Okay.
And they grew much more organically, letting, like, customer demand actually dictate their expansion.
Okay.
So guess which one ultimately thrived?
I'm guessing it's Chick-fil-A given their like cult-like following and
Yeah.
the lines out the door at every location.
Exactly.
But what's the takeaway for like us,
Yeah.
running businesses that aren't fast food chains?
Totally. So I think it's about understanding that like sustainable growth really comes from this like relentless focus on delivering exceptional value. Like Hormozi really champions what he calls like the missionary entrepreneur.
Okay.
Someone who's driven by this like deeper purpose, right? Beyond just making money.
Right.
Think of like Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A. Like he was deeply religious.
Right.
And his values were like baked into every aspect of the business.
So it's not just about like selling more chicken sandwiches. It's about like creating an experience, building a brand that like stands for something.
Yeah.
And I can see how that ties into his like earlier points about like targeting the right customers, building a strong reputation.
It all starts to connect.
It all connects.
Yeah.
So he's not advocating for slow growth.
No.
He's advocating for smart growth.
Exactly. Smart
Growth that's fueled by like quality customer delight.
Yes.
Not by like a desperate scramble for market share or like external pressure to increase valuation.
It's about building something sustainable.
Yeah. So how do we avoid that like bloat he talks about?
Yeah.
That like dilution of quality that can happen when you grow too fast.
Right. So he suggests focusing on like these incremental improvements.
Okay.
Like find one thing you can do better in each area of your business and then like dedicate some focused effort to actually improving that one thing.
Okay.
Don't try to like overhaul everything at once.
Yeah.
Make these like small strategic changes that over time like add up to this significant impact.
I'm a big fan of like checklists, so I can see how that like approach would resonate.
Yeah.
It's about building a system of excellence.
Yes.
It's like brick by brick.
I love that, brick by brick.
Focusing on those, he calls them like golden BBs.
Yeah.
Like small but powerful improvements that when combined create like a remarkable customer experience.
Exactly. It's like, how do you eat an elephant?
Right.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
And he also emphasizes that, like,
Yeah.
once you've implemented an improvement, you don't just, like, replace it with the next thing.
Yeah.
You actually add to it. You know, it's layer upon layer.
It's a snowball effect.
Exactly.
Building that solid foundation of excellence.
Exactly. And this, I think, ties back to the idea of, like, lifetime value.
Right.
Right? If your product or service is exceptional, your customers are going to stick around longer. They're going to spend more. They're going to tell their friends.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're not constantly having to, like, rely on finding new customers.
Yeah, it's about building a business that's designed to, like, last.
Yes.
Not just, like, chasing quick wins or the flavor of the month.
Totally agree.
Speaking of lasting impact, his sixth truth hits on something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, time management. He says, you work all day, but you can't get anything done because you allow too many things that don't matter to distract you.
Oh, I think we've all been there.
Right.
Right? It's like the constant influx of emails, messages, meetings, requests.
Yes.
It's so easy to get, like, caught up in the whirlwind of, like, busyness.
Yeah, and feel like you're being productive.
Exactly.
But you're not actually, like, making any real progress.
And, you know, he actually talks about how, like, few true emergencies actually exist in business. Most things can wait.
I love the story he tells about getting a frantic call at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
About a burst pipe at his gym.
Oh, no.
And his response was classic Hormozi. He was just like,
What do you say?
Call a plumber.
I love it.
It highlights the importance of, like, delegating, recognizing that, like, you don't have to be the hero solving every problem that arises.
It's not your job.
So he's all about, like, protecting your time and energy for those, like, high leverage activities.
Yes.
The ones that, like, truly move the needle in your business.
Exactly.
And he's not afraid to, like, let some fires burn.
Well, you don't have to, like, control every little thing.
Let go of that need to, like, control every little detail. So it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter.
Smarter, not harder.
And that means setting boundaries, prioritizing ruthlessly,
Yeah.
and being okay with saying no to things that don't align with your goals.
Totally. And, you know, he's a big advocate for, like, blocking time for deep work.
Yeah.
You know, for those, like, strategic activities that require, like, focus and concentration.
He even shares his, like, personal strategy of reserving mornings for that type of work and then keeping afternoons for meetings. And he's very strict about it.
He is. He's like politely declining meetings that fall outside of his designated time slots.
The great tactic.
It is. It's like it sets clear expectations.
Yeah.
And it protects like his most productive time. And ultimately, you know, I think it's about recognizing that like the things we look back on and like really feel proud of are rarely those like urgent tasks that like consumed our days.
Right.
But it's those like meaningful contributions that actually like moved our businesses forward.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired to revamp my calendar after this.
I love it.
Like this whole idea of like strategic time management.
Strategic time management.
It's like such a game changer, especially for someone like me who like gets pulled in a million directions.
I feel that.
What's next on Hormozi's list?
Okay, so
I have a feeling it's a big one.
This is a big one, and it ties into like a lot of what we've been discussing so far.
Okay.
He says, brand takes a long time to build, but it's the most valuable thing you can own.
Brand building, that's something a lot of entrepreneurs like
they struggle with it.
It feels like nebulous.
It does.
Hard to measure, especially in the age of like instant gratification and quick wins.
It's definitely a long game.
Yeah.
But the payoff can be massive. Like he points out that like a strong brand allows you to command those premium prices, generate like exceptional returns on your advertising, and cultivate this like fiercely loyal customer base.
Yeah, I love how he defines like brand in a simple way, he calls it.
What does he say?
An association people make between something they know and something they don't know.
I love that. So simple, but so powerful.
And he breaks down like how those associations are formed, like what you say about yourself, what others say about you.
Right.
And most importantly, like what the customer actually experiences.
The experience,
Right.
You can't fake that.
He emphasizes that customer experience is like the ultimate test.
It is.
The ultimate truth. It's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
100%. And I think like referrals play a huge role in this too, right? Like think about it. When someone recommends your product or service to like someone else, they're putting their own reputation on the line.
They are.
Right. They're saying, I trust this brand enough to recommend it to someone I care about.
Yeah.
And if that experience lives up to the hype, it actually strengthens both the brand's reputation and the relationship between like the referrer and the recipient.
It's like a chain reaction of trust and loyalty.
Exactly.
That's powerful. But brand building takes time.
It does. It does.
So what do we do in the meantime?
So interestingly, he actually draws this parallel between like long-term brand building and those like short-term strategies that we see like in direct response marketing.
Okay.
Like think lead magnets, email sequences, you know, those like 5-day challenges.
Right. Those are everywhere.
That are all over the place.
So those tactics are like mini brand building exercise.
Exactly. They're designed to like create a positive association, build trust, demonstrate value, but over this like condensed period of time.
So whether you're playing like the long game of building a like legacy brand or using short-term tactics to attract customers. The underlying principle is kind of the same.
Exactly.
Create a positive association that builds trust.
It's all about trust at the end of the day.
It's about like consistently exceeding expectations, delivering on your promises, and creating like a positive experience at every touch point.
100%.
Okay, so we've covered how to like attract the right customers, build a high-performing team, and cultivate a strong brand.
It's all coming together.
But how does all this actually translate into like revenue?
Right. How do we make money?
How do we ensure that like those systems are like working together to generate consistent profits?
So I think that's where his eighth truth comes in.
Okay.
He says, you need to know what inputs and outputs your money-making system are broken down to the absolute smallest action.
Now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of the business.
We are. We are. This is like
systems and process.
Systems and process.
Yeah, the stuff that like makes the whole thing tick.
This is how it works.
So he's emphasizing the importance of like understanding your business at its most, like,
fundamental level.
Like, what are the core actions that drive revenue? And can you, like, articulate those actions
with clarity,
with enough clarity that, like,
that someone else could replicate them. Exactly. He uses this example of, like, analyzing your ad spend.
Okay.
Can you, like, trace the journey of a dollar invested in advertising all the way through to a sale?
Okay.
Can you, like, break that process down into its simplest components?
So it's not enough to just say, like, we need to increase sales.
Exactly.
What?
You have to know, like, the levers to pull.
Yeah, we need to identify the specific actions, the levers we can pull that will lead to that outcome.
And he even suggests, like, asking yourself, why can't we 10x this right now?
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it forces you to confront the limitations of your current systems and really pinpoint, like, those bottlenecks that are preventing you from scaling.
It's about getting granular. Moving beyond, like, vague goals. And into actionable steps.
Actionable steps?
I can see how that level of, like, clarity
is key.
Would be essential for growth.
It is.
Speaking of which, his ninth truth speaks directly to, I think, our obsession with, like, quick fixes and hacks.
The hacks,
He simply says,
what does he say?
Stop looking for hacks.
I love it.
I think we can all relate to that on some level, right?
Absolutely. Especially, like, in today's digital landscape.
Yes.
There's this constant pressure, right, to find the shortcut, the secret formula, the hack.
Right, the magic bullet.
That will just, like, magically unlock success.
Right.
But, you know, as he points out, it's a distraction. Like, platforms ultimately reward quality. And chasing after these fleeting trends only takes you further away from, like, focusing on what truly matters.
Right.
And he actually challenges, like, this notion that you need to churn out, like, a constant stream of content.
Right, more.
More.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's about quality over quantity.
Yeah, it reminds me of that saying, work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
But it's not just about working smarter. It's about, like, working with intention. Like creating a smaller number of truly exceptional pieces that stand out.
Yeah, that stand out from the noise. And he uses this analogy of, like, painting.
Okay.
You know, it's not about just, like, slapping a coat of paint on something and calling it a day.
Right.
It's about, like, taking the time to apply, like, multiple layers to smooth out the imperfections, to really refine and polish until it shines.
It's about the process, the dedication to, like, the commitment to, like, excellence, right. And that dedication to quality, that, like, craftsmanship extends, I think, beyond just, like, the end product.
Totally.
He talks about documenting your process for creating exceptional work.
Document the process.
Because if you can, like, break it down into a system, you can teach others to, like, replicate it.
Absolutely.
Which ultimately frees you from needing to do everything yourself.
100%.
So it's about building a scalable system for excellence.
Scalable system for excellence. Love it.
Not relying solely on, like, your individual brilliance.
I love that,
And that scalability, that ability to, like, replicate success, that's where the real magic happens.
That's where the magic happens, right.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about building, like, a strong brand, creating systems for efficiency, and focusing on quality over, like,
quick fixes.
Yeah. But let's not forget about, like, the people who make all of this happen.
The team.
Yeah. Hormozi's 10th truth addresses this head on. He says, the best people cost more, but make you way more than they cost.
That's so true. He calls it, like, one of the biggest arbitrage opportunities in business. You know, like, investing in top talent might feel scary.
Yeah, especially in the early days, right?
Especially in the early days. But the returns can be astronomical.
He shares some, like, pretty amazing stories to illustrate this point.
He does.
Revealing the impressive returns that he's, like, generated by hiring people who were initially, like, outside his comfort zone in terms of salary expectations.
Right. Like, you got to be willing to, like, invest.
You got to pay to play. And his first $50,000 employee helped him open a second location.
Wow.
That generated $250,000 in profit.
That's amazing.
His first $300,000 employee brought in $5 million in sales.
Wow.
And then there was his first $1 million employee who immediately saved the company $3 million a year.
That's incredible.
Like, he believes the right people are worth their weight in gold.
They are. They are.
It highlights that idea that sometimes you have to be willing to, like...
Bet on people.
Bet on people.
Yeah.
Even if it feels risky.
You got to take risks.
But, as he says, attracting top talent requires more than just...
A high salary.
A high salary, right.
Exactly.
Worthy of their contribution.
Worthy of their contribution. You need, like, a compelling mission.
Yes.
That resonates with them.
Yeah.
Something that makes them feel like they're, like, part of something.
Bigger than themselves.
Bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
He uses the example of Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
Who positions each of his companies as being on a mission to save the world.
I love it.
It's audacious. It's ambitious.
Yeah.
And it attracts people who are, like, passionate and driven to make a difference.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is.
Creating a company that, like, people are proud to be a part of.
Yes.
You know, a company that's, like, making a positive impact on the world.
This is so much more than, like, just business advice.
It is. It's about building something meaningful.
Yeah.
Something that, like, leaves a legacy.
I love that.
And I love how he, like, connects it all back to the core mission.
The mission, yeah.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
Let's take a pause.
Okay.
And come back in the next part to delve into Hormozi's insights on confronting uncomfortable truths.
Oh, I like it.
Focusing on the fundamentals and more.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back. Okay, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Alex Hormozi's 13 years of business wisdom.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
We've covered everything from, like, building a killer team to crafting a brand that, like, has staying power. So what's left on the list?
I think, you know, these final 2 points really get to the heart of what it takes to build a successful business for the long haul.
Okay.
You know, they really challenge us to confront those, like, uncomfortable truths and focus on the things that truly matter. Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so his 11th truth states that the big obvious thing is the problem, not the 100 other things. Remember how we talked about, like, identifying that one problem that, if solved, would, like, make everything else easier?
Yeah.
This kind of builds on that idea.
Right. So it's not about getting lost in the weeds. It's about, like, identifying that core issue that's holding everything back.
Precisely.
And sometimes, you know, that means, like, facing our fears, admitting that maybe our product isn't as good as we think it is, or our marketing isn't hitting the mark.
Yeah, it can be tough to admit that.
So how do we even, like, begin to identify that big obvious thing?
So he offers this really powerful question. What would hurt my ego the most if it were true?
Ooh, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but
it forces you to look in the mirror.
It does.
And confront those areas that you might be avoiding.
You got it.
Right. It's easy to blame external factors.
Totally.
But sometimes the problem lies within.
Exactly. And so he uses this this great example. Imagine, like, a restaurant owner.
Okay.
Who's, like, obsessed with SEO and, like, website optimization. But the real problem is that the food is just mediocre.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah, they're so focused on, like, attracting customers, but those customers
aren't coming back
for more.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's a recipe for, like, disaster.
Yeah.
It highlights the importance of, like, focusing on the core of your business.
The core, yeah.
The product or service itself.
And so he talks about Peloton's founders who are obsessed with making, like, their workouts the best part of their customer's day.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they didn't settle for, like, good enough.
Yeah.
They strived for, like, exceptional.
Right. And that dedication to quality paid off.
It did.
Like, Peloton became a phenomenon.
Yeah. It's a reminder that sometimes you have to go all in on that core offering.
Right.
Really nail it.
Yeah.
Before you start, like, worrying about all the bells and whistles.
And that commitment to quality shouldn't be something that you, like, postpone for some, like, magical future date.
Yeah.
When you have, like, more time or resources.
It needs to be there from the start.
It needs to be, like, baked into your process from day one.
From day one, exactly.
It's about creating, like, a culture of excellence where like every detail matters.
Every detail matters.
And that attention to detail, that commitment to delivering like an exceptional experience, it all ties back to building a strong brand.
100%.
Because when people have like an amazing experience, they tell their friends.
Right. Word of mouth.
And that word of mouth marketing is priceless.
Absolutely. And so it leads us perfectly to his final truth.
Okay.
The one that like ties everything together.
Okay.
And he simply says, focus on fundamentals, not hacks.
You know, it's a message we hear a lot these days.
We do.
But it's so easy to get like caught up in the hype, to chase after the latest like shiny object, especially in like the fast-paced world of
like online business.
Yeah. And he's urging us to like
resist that temptation.
Not just that temptation. Yeah. To focus on like the things that truly matter.
What matters.
Delivering exceptional value, building a strong brand, assembling like a talented team, and understanding how your business actually makes money.
You got it.
It's about mastering those core principles.
Fundamentals.
Those fundamentals, not trying to like game the system or find some like
magic bullet.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about building a business that's like built to last, not just chasing like
fleeting trends,
right?
Exactly. And you know, he even cautions against getting like too caught up in metrics and data.
Okay.
He argues that those things should like inform your decisions, not like dictate them.
Okay.
Right. There's a place for intuition, for gut feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like making like big bets or pursuing like unconventional ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
So he reminds us that building a successful business, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Marathon, not a sprint. Exactly.
It's about being patient, persistent, and like relentlessly focused on those like core fundamentals. It's about like showing up every day and doing the work. Even when it's hard, even when it's like unglamorous.
He doesn't sugarcoat it, does he?
He doesn't, but he also reminds us that it's worth it.
It is.
Building a business is one of the most like rewarding things you could do. You know, it allows you to like create something from nothing. To like make a difference in the world.
To leave your mark.
Yeah. Wow, that was quite a journey.
It was.
From like targeting the right customers to building a high-performing team, from understanding our like money-making systems to like embracing discomfort. And focusing on the fundamentals.
Yes.
Hormozi's insights are like a roadmap.
They are.
For building a business that not only like thrives, but also stands the test of time.
I completely agree. You know, his direct, no-nonsense style might not be for everyone.
Right.
But there's no denying like the power of his message.
Right. It's a call to action for entrepreneurs to step up. To raise their standards. Focus on what truly matters. And what I appreciate most is that he doesn't just like
tell us what to do.
He shows us how he's done it.
Exactly. He walks the walk.
You know, his personal anecdotes, his like willingness to share his own like successes and failures makes his advice feel like so relatable, authentic and incredibly like inspiring. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to leave you with this question. What's the one fundamental that you can focus on, that you can commit to mastering, that would have like a ripple effect on your entire business?
That's a great question. That's a great question to ponder.
And remember, as Hormozi says, there are no hacks. Only hard work. Dedication, and a relentless pursuit of excellence.
That's it.
Until next time, keep diving deep.